let free speech go up in smoke, man.
The world's leading jailer, the United States of America.
I want to be a hippie god that gets no marijuana.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Talk it out.
Wake up time for freedom, baby. Wake up time to fly. Wake up time for freedom, baby. That's right, people. You are with the Department of Freedom here at the Institute for Higher Learning. That's right, and I am silly. Wait out, Willie, with my brother from another mother, Mr. Buzzy Zipwag. That's right, beautiful people. Hard hitting, never queering, ready, not queer. Oh, serious is a heart attack. That's right.
Well, in these outfits, you never know.
We've been posing the question all season long. Are cops your friends, and can they be your friends? If the CIA's bringing the drugs, ho-ho, and the federal government's in collusion with the people who are bringing the hard drugs, and yet they're extraditing other people who are bringing in the puff-puff and making people able to grow the puff-puff. Talk about Mark Emery, distributing seeds around the world so that we can grow the ganja and have peace in our hearts and peace in our minds. You know what I'm talking about. Well, anyway, people, we got a special program. I've been waiting to show you this for some time because if you watch this for the next 2 weeks, you will surely know. Can a cop be your friend? Because if you look right here, there's a picture of a cop from the 1970s. What's he look like? And here's one from 2010. What's he look like? Whoa, pretty scary. This one looks like a militarized freaking cop, if you ask me. And the war on drugs is what's militarized him. Whoa, that's right. It looks like a freaking Martian.
Looks like something out of the future.
For God's sake, people, wake up now. Give me your attention for the next half hour and tune in next week to see part 2 of Unwritten Future. That's right, people. Terror at the Republican National Convention in 2008. With the ever-growing police state, you're going to see what goes down at these conventions, man. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. Me and Buzz sat down and watched a little bit last week. Said we got to roll it by the people. So without further ado, man, check it out.
Now, defense technology and federal laboratories are one, offering less lethal solutions for the situations you will face. Our technologies have been combined. Our products have been improved. Shelf lives have been extended, and warranties have been strengthened. Combining our rich resources and extensive research and development efforts, Defense Technology Federal Laboratories will continue to set the standard for others to match. Defense Technology Federal Laboratories, united, will be an even stronger ally for the forces of law and order. Our duty aerosol products offer a complete line of aerosol projectors for duty issue or specialized assignment. It includes OC, chemical or blended formulations in your choice of stream, fog, or foam delivery systems. The first response solutions include these less lethal single-target options designed for a range of effects, from pain compliance to maximum delivered energy that incapacitates or disorients aggressive, violent, or armed subjects. They are increasingly viable options for the first response of patrol, mobile field force grenadiers, or tactical teams. The crowd management option consists of a wide range of less lethal products, including high-volume aerosol projectors, chemical devices, and specialty impact munitions that offer force actions for the control of civil and correctional disorder. We're ready to serve you in keeping the peace, in restoring law and order anywhere in the world.
I'm John McCain, and I approve this message.
Illuminati, a secret society do exist. Illuminati, Illuminati, a secret society do exist. Illuminati,
The Secret Service and the FBI have both opened communication centers in Minneapolis to get ready for any security threats at the Republican National Convention.
In the event of a crisis, this would be fully staffed. This would be, again, the center of the universe for crisis management.
Inside, officers can watch live cameras and satellite images to quickly react to an incident.
There's one particular anarchist group that has a website, and they've been very public about disrupting the RNC.
Police dismiss reports that they're planning a sweep this weekend to put protesters behind bars before the convention begins.
What stands out for me is the disproportionate use of force for what the police were facing. We really feel that it's been quite a forceful crackdown. It started on Friday evening with the first raid on the activist gathering space, continued with house raids on Saturday. There were 4 of them altogether. And then, people were on pins and needles all weekend. There were snatch and grabs off of streets of activists.
Please, let me see your hands. Put them on top of your head, please. On top of your head, please. On top of your head, please.
You know what, police, ma'am, we're just clear. Are you going to listen to arrest a warrant?
We need it.
We're just notifying you about that?
Guys, you go in my backyard. They're handcuffed back here if you want.
A day under arrest.
You see, if they arrested us, they'd have to swear out a complaint against us. And there's nothing that they could prove. They've been detaining people for days around here. And they photograph them, they look through your materials, they copy your materials, and don't return them to you. And then you're merely detained. So you don't have the same situation where you have a police officer swearing out an affidavit, which we could prove was false. This seems to be a new technique. It sort of looks softer because maybe they will release us. But even so, we've been prevented from working here for hours today. We don't really know who's in charge. How are we going to put blame on this? And actually, if you file a lawsuit, they'll say, well, you were just held for a little while. It's sort of no big deal.
This isn't because the St. Paul police decided they should go do something, or maybe even at the Ramsey County yesterday at the Convergence Center. This is something coming from elsewhere. It's very coordinated. It's very studied. It's very orderly. And it's Kafkaesque.
Demonstrations at the Republican National Convention began early Monday morning as a formation of 60 Iraq and Afghanistan veterans marched from the Minnesota State Capitol to the Excel Center to deliver a briefing on veterans' issues to Senator McCain. Matta Sharu, who earlier this year refused to deploy to Iraq, explained the reasons for the march.
Today, Iraq Veterans Against the War is marching on the Republican National Convention to apply pressure to the McCain campaign to include veterans' issues in their election platform. While John McCain is a veteran, he has a history of not supporting the troops as he should. For example, voting or refusing to vote for expanding our educational benefits, and also making public his intention to keep us in this unlawful occupation of Iraq for 100 years if necessary.
Iraq Veterans Against the War, or IVAW, has 3 demands: the immediate withdrawal of all occupying forces in Iraq, reparations for the people of Iraq, and full benefits including adequate health care for returning servicemen and women.
Many veterans behind me today. Many of them have decided to even risk arrest to deliver this proposal to John McCain and to bring these important critical issues to the forefront. We hope that the world is watching. We hope that America is watching. The returning war veterans continue to sacrifice and serve their country. Present!
Former Abu Ghraib prison guard Benjamin Thompson shared his story with Democracy Now!
One of my prisoners at Abu Ghraib, a place where you saw those photographs come out. You didn't know the half of it. Most of our people didn't live in those cell blocks. Most of them people lived outdoors. And they're killed by enemy insurgents in our camps. This prisoner, this God hopes for peace. We had 10-year-old boys in my camps. We had an 80-year-old blind man in my camp. They were killed by enemy fire because we did not protect them when they were in our custody. They were not worth protecting. The generals that came to my base came with 3 helicopters apiece. And when they left, they took them with them. We were giving them food that made them sick. We were giving them water that gave them kidney stones. We weren't supplying them with medical attention. They were dying from lack of heart medication that they'd been on for 20 years. You never heard about this, ever, because of the f***ing photographs. The Department of Defense focused all of the attention upon those atrocious acts committed by war criminals, my brother and sister military policemen. And then everything else that happened at that prison, to the other 95% of those prisoners, went unreported in the media.
About 80 to 100 Iraq and Afghanistan veterans marched from the state capitol down to the XL Energy Center, the site of the RNC. For the past 2 weeks, we've been trying to get a hold of Senator McCain or his staff to meet us at the outside of the RNC. We wanted to present to him a list of veterans issues that we're deeply concerned about, but neither he nor his staff would come out and visit with us. So, what are those issues? Well, we think there needs to be better care of veterans with PTSD or TBI, traumatic brain injury, or who suffer from major depression. There's also the issue of military sexual trauma in the military that really hasn't improved in the 30 years I was in the military. Women are still discriminated. And the last issue had to do with don't ask, don't tell. Reservists can be kicked out after they come back from Iraq. Even though they're openly gay over there, they come back and they're kicked out of the reserve. They're good enough to catch bullets, but they're not good enough to serve 1 weekend a month. We just think that's totally hypocritical. We disagree with it, and we want that changed.
Because we're not going to go back on what we need and what we want. We want decent reform, equal reform. We want the rates to stop now. We are not criminals. No somos criminales. No vinimos a robar, sino al contrario, vinimos a darle más impacto, más calidad, más belleza a este país. Porque con nosotros llevamos una cultura rica en historia. Our people have served many, many years. They served in the First World War, the Second World War. They went to the Vietnam War. It's time, America, to recognize the gifts and the attributes in all the services. That we are here, proud, and we're from Chicago. Committee Against the Militarization of Youth, present.
We're the Beehive Design Collective. We're a group of artists and activists based out of Eastern Maine, but we work all over the country, in fact all over the continent. We've got a distributed network of folks that we work with to create anti-copyright graphics that tell stories about geopolitical situations out there in the world. We work collaboratively to produce them, so any graphic has anywhere between 4 and 10 different people working on the project. And the idea is to create visual metaphors that serve as storytelling tools. So this graphic right here is talking about the impacts of free trade agreements on different economies, specifically based on the FTAA, the Free Trade Area of the Americas, that was being brokered in 2003. And its basic layout is that it's got the Western Hemisphere being caught up in a web of free trade that's being spun by the 3 different spiders of globalization. And then you've got all these different animal metaphors that represent the different pieces, different aspects of society that are being impacted by it. So you've got the privatization of education, privatization of medicine, maquiladora, sweatshop jobs that are being exported. So trying to explain and break down these really big, overwhelming issues in graphic form. The other one that we've got over here is talking about the drug war in Colombia and how that's connected to militarization and specifically to economy and industrial development as well. We're now currently working on a poster both about a huge infrastructure development project that's happening in Mesoamerica called the Flat and Puebla Panama, and also just this year started a new one about the true costs of coal and what's happening in Appalachia in the United States, where we see resource extraction, like what we associate with as happening in other countries, happening in our own country, and where mountains are being blown up in a process called mountaintop removal coal mining. The two graphics that I just explained will both be out hopefully within the next year. And we hope to continue to spread, all of this really important awareness, raise awareness, and educate people through visual graphics.
When is the peace and justice meeting going to start talking about unemployment, issues of poverty, issues of lack of affordable housing or clean housing, issues that really pertain to the people that are suffering the most because of this administration? And the frustrating thing one of the reasons why I left the anti-war movement was I felt that it's so much easier to care about the children in Iraq and the children in other parts of the world, but can you look at the black kids that are here and how they're suffering, the lack of education, the lack of affordable housing? Can you look at the Native American kids, whether they're in an urban area like Little Earth in Minneapolis or on the reservation, and the lack of health care that they have? Or can you look at the Latino children that are here that are working really hard but are constantly in fear of ICE raids? I mean, those are the things that I am concerned about, I want to see us talk about, and I think that's the root of the problem for a lot of us, that it's so much more comfortable for us to come here one day and protest, but to change our lifestyle and change the way we do things, it's really uncomfortable. And to start questioning where we buy our products, where is our money going to, exactly what we're doing right now, that's perpetuating the oppression.
I think it will allow a lot of ease of getting into the convention for the delegates and the official folks with official status, but also allows us to give plenty of room for those who want to exercise their free speech rights to participate. Well, we consider the entire city, a free speech zone.
Go back! Look out! Police! Oh my God! That just blew up! Police! That was a little explosion. Excuse my language on the air here. Get on the street! Get on the coming out! There's blue one!
Oh, God.
There's a lot of smoke coming out of that thing! Hands up! Decided to floor?
Listen, baby. Cops coming up behind us.
I'm concurring with press that it's a good idea to stay out of incoming. There literally is a situation with incoming here. You see these people, these young people on the street, and this young man advising everyone to stop panicking. Seems sensible. And here comes the man who has been
puppet masters who run the show. This isn't just a war on Iraqis or Afghanis or even Arabs or Muslims. It is ultimately a war on us all. That's because the billions and billions of dollars that are being spent on this war, the cost of tanks, rocketry, bullets, and yes, even salaries for the 125,000 plus troops, is money that will never be spent on education, on healthcare, on the reconstruction of crumbling public housing, or to train and place the millions of workers who have lost manufacturing jobs in the past 3 years alone. The war in Iraq is, in reality, a war against the nation's workers and the poor, who are getting less and less, while the big defense industries are making a killing, literally. What's next? Iran? Syria? North Korea? Venezuela? We've already seen the corporate media play megaphone to the White House to build and promote a war based on lies. War is utilized by the imperialists first and foremost to crush internal enemies. We're seeing the truth of his insight when we see the sad state of American education, the rush of seniors to buy affordable medications from the Canadians because American drugs are just too expensive, the threatened privatization of Social Security, and the wave of repression that comes with an increasingly militarized police. This is a war on all of us. And the struggle against war is really a struggle for a better life for the millions of folks who are in need here in this country. The fight against the war is really to fight for your own interests, not the false interests of the defense industries or the corporate media or the White House. Down with the wars for empire. Against war is really a struggle for a better life for the millions of folks who are in need here in this country. The fight against the war is really to fight for your own interests, not the false interests of the defense industries or the corporate media or the White House. Down with the wars for empire.
What's that bullshit?
They're actually you got shot twice. That guy's stalking us. Look at him, he's stalking us.
Thank you very much. Try to look out for other folks.
Okay, we want to stop here.
So I've been walking with the anti-capitalist front, and it seemed like things were dying down because we were just trying to kind of walking. I've been walking around all day, and I actually was thinking about going back to my house. And then all of a sudden people started crossing the street, and it seemed really innocuous, but the cops started throwing tear gas. So I started walking back the other way, and I saw this girl, and she was just wearing sunglasses and shorts and a tank top, and I knew that if it blew up next to her, she was really going to be in for some and so I tried to get her to cover herself up, and I was walking through with her, and then a tear gas canister just blew up in my face on the side, and that was all I could feel. I couldn't see anything, and I couldn't breathe. And I kept saying, I can't breathe. Somebody help me. And all I could feel was the cops pushing me. And I knew it was the cops because they just said, keep moving, like anybody else. Anybody else would have stopped and said, do you need some help? Here's some water. And the cops just kept pushing me. Even though we were all walking away, they kept throwing the tear gas. And it's just really ironic. I have to write an essay about the American dream for my class tomorrow, and I just lost any faith I could possibly have had. And I don't know what the fuck I'm going to say.
Yes, waiting for them to let us know when we can look to leave. As soon as they tell us,
I just asked what
we were waiting for, and he said that they're waiting for them to tell them when we can leave. Or something. What can they go through, man? What are we doing? Alright, you're under through. Why am I being stopped?
Oh my God. We're swearing off, man.
Gustav's landfall quieted the first day of convention activities, but soldiers were still on the job as demonstrators became increasingly aggressive. Donning shields and batons, some 150 soldiers of the 1st Combined Arms Battalion, 194th Armor, Minnesota National Guard, trained to keep crowds under control. The Guardsmen say they have been well prepared for this mission, supporting the St. Paul Police Department and the U.S. Secret Service.
My officers stood tall, as did our partners. They did not waver, and they have very quickly restored order to downtown. And I want to say that I'm quite impressed by the readiness by my officers and also by the restraint. Our mission was to facilitate the delegates' transportation, access to the convention site, and their ability to get back and forth. And our mission also was to allow peaceful protest to go forward. And on both of those bases, today was a success for the St. Paul Police Department, the Minneapolis Police Department, and Bloomington, State Patrol, and all the other agencies that have taken part in this great event. There have been arrests made today. At last count, there were 56 arrests made, of which 7 were felonies, and about 9 were gross misdemeanor arrests. And we expect that there will be more arrests. That number will continue to grow. We're in the process of making arrests even as we speak on one last group that has circled down to Shepherd Road. A number of people were intimidated and frightened, I believe, by the masked criminals who were running through the streets. I am gratified that not only did I see the heroic efforts by the officers today, and not only did the mayor see that, but that many of you in the media also saw that. And I like the term that you in fact have coined, that what you saw today in the face of numbers and agitation and masked criminals was a restrained use of force.
I know many chiefs of police, and assure you that they are average human beings just like you.
Self-described anarchists, and as the police would follow some of these groups, other groups, small groups, would break off. They would throw rocks and bottles. There were some tires that were slashed, broken windows. I saw a lot of this, saw a lot of the rocks and bottles, and at one point we were behind a group that was being trailed by some police at that point, and about a dozen of these pepper spray canisters were fired off.
This is a threat to the emergency downhit system.
And there you have it, folks. Part 1 of Unwritten Future, coverage of the 2008 Republican National Convention. Did you hear and see all those liars? From the mayor to police officers and the news media, of course, including Dan Bullcorn Rathers. Join the Department of Freedom next week, folks, for more lying public officials and those propagators of propaganda known as the news media, as we feature Unwritten Future Part 2 here on Stop Bitchin', Start a Revolution. Peace, people.
Quit playing games with God.
Wake up, America.